Most people stay stuck renting or keep putting off buying a home, not because they can't buy, but because they don't fully understand the process. And when you don't understand something, that creates fear. Fear keeps you in the same place, stuck, not moving forward, and missing opportunities that could completely change your future. So the goal of this video is simple: to walk you through the entire home buying process, step by step, so you actually understand what's happening, what to expect, what things cost, and how to move forward with confidence instead of hesitation. Before we get into the process itself, you need to understand the team. Buying a home is not something you do alone, and there's 4 main people involved in almost every transaction. And once you understand who they are, everything else starts to make a lot more sense. First, you have your real estate agent. The easiest way to think about your agent is they act like a GPS. You have a destination, you want to buy a home, but there are 100 different turns, decisions, potential wrong moves along the way, and your agent helps you navigate that throughout the entire process. They show you options, they explain the pros and cons of each option, and then they execute the path you choose in a way that protects your best interest. They also act like a general contractor of the entire deal. They coordinate timelines, manage communication, and make sure nothing falls through the cracks. Now, this matters because you're entering into a legal contract with multiple checkpoints. And if you don't understand what's happening at those checkpoints, you can make decisions that can cost you real money, a lot of money. Next, you have your lender. At the most basic level, if you're buying a house, you need money, and your lender is the one who's helping you secure that. They handle your pre-approval, which gives you your buying power. They guide you through different loan options, and they take your file through underwriting where everything gets officially verified and officially approved. Through this process, you'll be asked for documents multiple times. It can be repetitive and honestly a bit overwhelming, but it's completely normal and it's part of you getting your loan approved. Next, you have your inspector. Their job is to give you clarity on what you're actually buying in terms of the condition of the home that you're looking to purchase. There is a general home inspector that normally starts this process, but there are also different types of inspections depending on what's found. Typically, you'll do a general home inspection, but you might choose to add on something like radon to make sure there's no radon gases, or maybe a sewer lateral to make sure that the sewer is working properly. Your general home inspector is going to look at every aspect of the home. And then they're going to make recommendations based on what they're seeing on the surface level. And they're usually going to recommend other professionals who work in that area every day to come in and look if there's problems found, to see if there's a deeper cause that needs to be addressed. For example, if the inspector sees a plumbing concern, they may recommend bringing in a licensed plumber. If they see something on the roof, they may recommend a roofing specialist. They do this because they're generalists. They identify potential issues and point you to the right expert for deeper evaluation. You also have the option during the inspection period to bring in any specialist you want, whether that's a plumber, an electrician, an HVAC company, a contractor. The big value here is they're going to find things that you likely didn't see during your showing to help you truly understand what you're buying and the condition that it's in. Finally, you have the title company. The title company ensures that you get legal, clear ownership of the property that you're purchasing. The title company's job is to make sure the seller actually has the legal right to sell you the property, that there's no liens, there's no unpaid debts, or any ownership issues tied to it. So that way, when you close on the home, you know you're closing on a clean property. They also hold your earnest money, coordinate funds between the buyer and seller, and facilitate the whole closing process. So now that you understand the team, let's walk through the process and show you exactly where each person comes into play. When you've decided to purchase a home, your first step is pre-approval, and this is where your lender steps in. They may review your income, credits, debits, and overall financial picture to determine what you can actually afford. But this isn't just about price. It's about your monthly payment, your interest rate, your down payment, what programs are available to you, and how strong you look when you go to make an offer. Getting pre-approved is usually pretty simple. Most of the time it involves filling out an online application with your lender, providing basic financial information like your income, employment, assets, and then submitting documents like pay stubs and bank statements. In many cases, you can get pre-approved within a day or two. And if you don't already have a lender, most agents have trusted lenders they can recommend, so just ask them. It's also important to understand that you shouldn't be seriously touring homes without being pre-approved. If you're not pre-approved, you don't actually know what you can afford, and you risk either looking at homes that don't make sense or missing out on ones that do. Most importantly, when the right home shows up, which it will, you're ready to act. In this market, speed matters, and your pre-approval is what allows everything else to happen. Once you're pre-approved, your real estate agent will take the lead and you'll move into a home search. This is where you start touring homes, refining your criteria, and figuring out what matters most to you. And here's the truth. There's no perfect home. Every home is a combination of trade-offs. The goal is not perfection. It's finding the best fit for you and your situation, your budget, and your long-term goals. Once you find the right home, your agent will help you make an offer. And this is where things get serious because an offer is not just a number. It's a full contract. It includes your price, your timeline, and your terms. So let's simplify some of that language. For example, something you would often hear is a contingency. This just means a condition that has to be met for you to move forward, like needing your loan approved or completing inspections. A contingency is something that may be included in your offer, if that makes sense. Another term you might hear is seller's concessions, which simply means you're asking the seller to do something like maybe help cover some of your closing costs. Another term that people often aren't familiar with is closing date. That's just the official day that you are taking ownership of the home. Your offer can include things like obviously price of the home, but how your agent is paid, how long you have for inspections, contingencies on maybe trying to sell another home that you own before you can purchase this one. There's a lot of things that can be included in an offer, and that's why your real estate agent is really important because they will help you navigate that. All of these items will become part of the negotiations that you'll present to the seller as part of your offer. It's not just about price. Price gets attention, but terms get your offer accepted. Once you submit an offer, the seller can accept it, reject it, or send back a counteroffer. A counteroffer means they may adjust the price, the timelines, or the terms. Basically, they're changing something in your initial offer. At that point, you can accept their counteroffer, reject it, or counter back, and you'll go back and forth until both sides come to an agreement. But once both parties sign, you're officially under contract. And this is important because you are now in a legal agreement to purchase that home. You're not just holding it. This is why you don't want to go out and make multiple offers on multiple homes at once. If more than one gets accepted, you're legally tied to buy more than one property, which would create a serious problem for you. Once you're under contract, everything starts to move quickly. This is where contract timelines and checkpoints begin. These checkpoints are written into the contract when the offer is created. While there are standard timeframes that are commonly used, they can be adjusted depending on the situation, the market, or how competitive you want your offer to be. This is where your agent becomes your GPS in a big way. They make sure every deadline is met and that everything stays on track. There's a lot of moving parts happening all at once at this point, and if you miss these checkpoints, it can cost you in major ways financially, and it can even create a lawsuit if certain items are missed. So your agent plays a very important role to keep you in the loop and all of the moving parts on track and in line. Let's talk about the major checkpoints you need to be aware of once you go under contract. The first checkpoint is your earnest money. This is a good faith deposit, typically around 1% of the purchase price, and you'll need to submit it within a few days of going under contract. Your title company holds this money in what's called an escrow account. An escrow is just a fancy way of saying a neutral third-party holding account. That means neither you nor the seller can access this money whenever they want. It sits there safely and can only be distributed according to the terms of the contract. That way nobody can misuse it and nobody can pull it out incorrectly. This protects you and it also protects the seller. That money also gets applied to your purchase, whether that's your down payment or your closing costs when you get to closing. Usually you will need to pay your earnest money to the title company within 5 days of going under contract, unless your contract lays out a different timeline. The next checkpoint is inspections. This is another major checkpoint with a set deadline. You have a specific window of time to complete these inspections, and usually that's 10 days. During this period, you can walk away for any reason and receive your earnest money back, as long as you're within the time frame that the contract states for the inspection period. So as we talked about before, this is the time period where you can have any inspection completed on the home. So this helps you better gauge the actual condition of the home from professionals who do this every day. Your inspector will go through the home and create a detailed report. From there, you'll want your agent to review it with you and decide what to do. When you complete all inspections, you can sit down with your agent and determine if you want to make any requests for repairs, ask for terms of the contract around price to be adjusted, or potentially completely walk away from the deal if your contract allows that. When you make your formal written request, this ends the inspection period and we move on to the next checkpoint within the contract. The next checkpoint is the inspection negotiation period. So we've already performed inspections. The inspection negotiation period is what are you going to negotiate around the things that you found during the inspection period. This is where you take action. You can accept the home as is. You can ask the seller to fix certain issues, or you can ask for money back at closing so you can handle the repairs yourself. This is your opportunity to make requests. And once this period ends, you generally can't go back and ask for more. It's also important to be reasonable here because the seller can choose to not agree to your requests or even walk away depending on how the contract is structured. During this period, the buyer and seller go back and forth, negotiating on how to handle the items found during the inspection. Again, this could include repairs, credits, or accepting certain things or all of them as is. Once both sides come to an agreement and sign off, that checkpoint is completed and you move forward on the process. At the same time all of this is happening, your lender is working through the loan contingencies, which is another checkpoint in the contract. This is where they verify everything in terms of your ability to get the loan and move forward with your final approval, which is called underwriting. During this time, it's critical that you don't make any financial changes. Don't buy a card, don't open new credit cards, don't make large purchases. Just stay steady because your loan might change in its status and you might not be able to purchase the home because your lender will see that something has changed and it might shift your numbers around where you can't purchase the home. Next is the appraisal. This is ordered by your lender to confirm that the home is worth what you agreed to pay for it. If it comes in at value, everything moves forward. If it comes in low, your agent will help you navigate next steps, whether that's renegotiating, you needing to bring additional cash, or potentially walking away, depending on your contract. From there, you'll move into the final stretch. Your agent coordinates your final walkthrough to make sure your home is in the condition you agreed to. Your title company will prepare documents, and your lender will finalize your numbers. You'll receive what's called a closing disclosure, which is just simply a document that outlines all of your final costs, not just your down payment, but everything involved in the transaction, so there's no surprises for you. Then comes closing day. You sign the documents, the funds from your lender are transferred to the seller, and everything is recorded with your city. And just like that, you officially own the home. You now get the keys. Here's the truth most people don't hear. Buying a home is not stressful because it's complicated. It's stressful because nobody fully explains it. But once you understand the process, it becomes predictable and you know what to expect. When it becomes predictable, the fear will go away. And when the fear goes away, you can actually move forward with confidence. My name's Tony Tiller, and I'm a local real estate agent in the St. Louis area and a homeownership coach. No matter where you're at in the buy-sell process, we would love to help you. We help people create paths, whether that's 2 years out or you're ready to buy or sell right now for their real estate needs. If you're in the St. Louis area and you're looking for a real estate agent to help you map out your next steps, our contact information is below.